Well, good evening, good morning, good day, good afternoon, good ever, whatever day, whatever time of the year, the month, today you're at, time zone you're at. Good evening, and this is Dr. Jacqueline King, and I am with the lovely Dr. Nekeshia Hammond, and we're back. That's what she always says. I'm back. We're back.
Hey, I'm back. Yep.
So we're back and we're talking about her book and mindset training. And go ahead, Dr. Hammond, and introduce yourself and share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So some of you already know me. If you're on the Black Women Empowered Incorporated Network, I'm Dr. Nekeshia Hammond. I host the Mental Health Moment with Dr. Hammond every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live. I This is my 15th year, which is crazy. Owning a private practice as a psychologist, so I spend a part of my time there, and then a part of my time in the community, educating corporations, organizations about burnout prevention, stress management, all things mental health. And this is Mental Health Awareness Month, which is pretty exciting. So I'm excited to be here, and thank you for having me.
Yeah. And so, yes, I know your background, of course, is mental health and wellness. And so, how do people just prevent from burning out?
Yeah.
That is so easy to do.
hmm Yeah, you're right. It's so easy. It happens to so many of us. So first, don't feel guilty about it if you're in that boat. I feel like every time I'm speaking to different groups and I'm asking like, how are y'all feeling? How are you doing? Everybody's like, I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed out, right? Like, but how do you prevent that? Really is you have to start to number one, make yourself your number one priority. That's step one, which is a mindset shift that you have to have in order to do that. And then you take the steps to start to better take care of yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Those are the things that you have to do, putting those strategies into place for your life so you can prevent yourself from getting burnt out.
Yeah, and so with everybody working, like it seems like everybody's working multiple jobs now. I mean, it used to be you could work one job and be fine. So it's really easy to burn out, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and it's so true. I mean, it's crazy to me right now, like with the cost of gas, the cost of food. I feel like when I go to the grocery store and I pick up like four things, I'm like, what? How much is it? Like,
I
what?
know. Everybody's like, how
Right?
much is it?
Yeah, it's insane. So yeah, prices have gone up. People are working harder. People are working multiple jobs, like you said. Rent is up, mortgage is up, interest rates, like all these things are happening. So not only whatever's happening in your personal life, maybe it's your job itself or jobs, like you said, but the economy is changing and that's throughout the world, like in different ways. But the stress level is up right now, especially after COVID. The stress level is definitely up.
It is. And if you're tuning in, I am with the lovely Dr. Nekeshia Hammond from Mental Health Moment. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and please, by all means, share the broadcast. Um, so, why is it important for busy professionals to prioritize their wellness, especially in today's fast-paced lane? Because everything is fast, fast. I mean, I've been working all day long, and I feel like I have
Mhm.
done nothing.
Yeah. Yep, yep. A lot of us feel that way though. And you're right. There's just so much. I feel like because the times have changed, as we all say, right? Like it's just things are fast paced, like you said. We have social media now. I mean, many of us are watching this right now from all over the world. We're tuning in. We constantly have things thrown at us. We have easy access to each other, right? So back in my day, when I was growing up, there was no social media. Still remember when I was a child of landline phones and things like that. Like it wasn't an easy access to get to you. It was like, okay, maybe you left your job. I'll see you tomorrow. Right now, it's not like that though. Like you said, it's very busy for a lot of corporations I work with. They're saying, hey, we're stressed out, we're burnt out. A lot of executives, because when they go home, they're still getting the phone calls, they're still getting the emails, they're up really late. Work doesn't necessarily stop just because you get home.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's why
Absolutely.
though it's important. You have to put things in place though, because it can be really easy to get so overwhelmed in all the demands. You have to put things in place to literally say, okay, today and every day, hopefully, I have to reset and I have to recharge. So remember those two things. You deserve that. You reset, you recharge, because not only that, but it makes you better in what you're doing. So if you are a mom, a dad, a grandparent, you're working, you're retired, whatever phase of life you're in, or whatever roles that you have, maybe you're taking care of other people, whatever that is, you will show up better for them when you work on resetting and recharging instead of just going through life, being hectic, being overwhelmed, just doing everything that comes at you, right? But instead making sure that you're taking that time for you is something that's really, really critically important.
Yes,
And hey,
and
for those who are starting to join here.
I was going to say that Renee and Sharika, go ahead and share the broadcast, please. So you just touched on what are some of the common symptoms of burnout? I mean, what do you look for when how do you know that you're at that point?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So really you have to start, because that's a common question, like what even is burnout? How do you know if you're burnt out? Burnout is literally exhaustion. When you say physically you're exhausted, or emotionally you're exhausted, or mentally you're exhausted. The thing with burnout, though, it doesn't mean like I had a bad day, I'm burnt out. It's not like one day. It's something that's chronic. It's something that happens over time when you're just like, I just don't feel like I have anything left to give. Or maybe you just don't feel like you care anymore. Sometimes that happens, unfortunately, where we're like, we have no motivation. We don't care. We're not trying to do, whatever it is your responsibilities are. When you really get to that point, you've hit burnout. But the good news is, one of the things that can be helpful to you if you're already there, is to take the time to rest, to take the time to recharge, to take the time to reset your body, even too. Because people that have chronic levels of burnout, they start getting colds. You might, those of you watch this may know, like you start getting colds, you're more susceptible to the flu. You start having aches and pains. All these physical things start to happen to you because you're stressed out. It could be nothing physically wrong with you, but you're so stressed out. Your body is like, please, I need a break. Right? So you literally have to give your body a break. Just as how if you got injured, if you got hurt physically, you would take a break. Like you would have to heal. It's the same thing with burnout. We have to stop mentally. When you're like, man, I can't sleep at night, that's a sign of burnout too. I can't sleep at night, or I have all these thoughts racing through my head all the time. Emotionally, I'm so irritated, agitated at everybody around me. Those are signs of burnout. But you have to work on really getting back to healing whatever it is that you're dealing with. You might know or not, and make sure that you get into a better mental place, physical place, spiritual, and emotional place.
Yeah, I just want to say hello to my cousin Alexandra. She's my biggest supporter. She came
Oh,
to my
hey,
speaking engagement
that's
uh,
so nice.
last week. Yeah, and Cheryl, Renee, thank you so much. Please share the broadcast. Hermina. Um, so what about? I mean, it might not actually be burnout, but suppose that when you lay down, you can't rest because you're always thinking about something else. Is that part of burnout?
It could be. So the not so great thing about burnout, if it lasts too long and you're on the go, 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 and you don't rest and you don't reset or recharge, then you could be looking at a higher risk of depression now, or anxiety now. Like now we're getting into the mental health issues. Burnout is not, it's not a diagnosed condition, but it's a symptom that if you don't treat it, then it can lead to, like I said, the now I really can't function. Now it's looking like possible depression or possible anxiety. But at that point, hopefully it doesn't get to that point, you all. But if it is, or even before, really, sometimes you have to seek the help of a mental health professional. That's really, really important to think about. How do I, if you're like, man, I don't think I could do this on my own, then reach out to a professional who can be like, hey, let me sit down with you and see, first of all, is it burnout? Is it depression? Is it anxiety? What do you have that's going on? And let's look specifically for you at some strategies that can help you get through this time. Yep, someone said, "When you let your vessel get empty." Absolutely. Absolutely,
And
and you
Hermina, I think I messed up
yeah.
your name. Sorry about that. I think I said Hermenia. Hermina. She broke it up down into syllables for me so I can say it right. Well, thank you very much,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Paulette. So training. What is it? Training, conquer your mind. Oh, mindset training, conquer your
Yes.
mind, and the rest will follow. Talk about that.
Yes, so that's my new book, you all. It's on pre-order. I'm super excited about it. But I wrote that book because of after COVID, all the stories I was hearing, going to different corporations, talking to different groups, there was just so much stress, understandably, with COVID happening. People were getting burnt out. I remember, I mean, I'm a parent myself. I remember it was stressful. Like, hey, you have to now shut down your life and try to help these children at home, right? And try to move into virtual education when they used to be in school, for example. Jobs were being shut down. People were starting to now work at home, but then they also had to take care of kids. Like it was a very stressful time. So I really wrote that book because I'm like, okay, let's talk about. We always hear self care all over. It's a buzzword, but let's talk about what does that mean? Like, what are some practical strategies? So the book is really broken down physically. Here are some things you can do. Mentally, here are some things you can do. Spiritually, emotionally, like how do you become a better version of yourself, because then again you can show up for you, first of all for you, but also the people around you. So we all have different roles, we all have different responsibilities. Maybe hopefully you're doing something in the community, you're giving back in some way, you're helping your neighbor, your friend, your coworker, your family, whomever, right? Most of us are in that caregiving space, sometimes helping other people in some ways, but you get to show up in a better way for them too, in addition to yourself. So that's why I wrote the book. So I'm super excited about it. It's mindset training, conquer your mind, and the rest will follow. Because my strong opinion as a psychologist over 15 years is that if we work on our mindset, if we can change and grow who we are as people, it really can help us and prevent a lot of the burnout and prevent the physical diseases and prevent the mental health issues that we're all seeing. So it's really, really critically important that we're taking care of ourselves.
Yes, yes. And if you have any questions, you can type them in the comments. Nutrition and physical activity often get overlooked in busy schedules. How can busy professionals incorporate healthy eating and exercise habits into their routines?
That's a tricky one. Great question, though. So some of the things I recommend. Well, first of all, this has to be holistic. So for those of you watching this and like, oh my God, I feel like I'm so overwhelmed. I have a million things going on. It really is most beneficial to you if you look at this holistically. So I know a lot of people don't want to talk about eating habits or talk about exercise because it may be boring, or we don't want to do that, or we don't feel like we have time. But those are two really critical components of your overall health, and they affect your mental health, not just your physical health as well. So if you're busy, things are hectic, a lot of times people really benefit when you jot down. If you took a good solid month to really jot down what is it you're actually eating, keeping track. I mean, there's all sorts of trackers now out there and all sorts of apps, but really looking at what you're eating, because sometimes we're on the go, we're busy, we're hectic, we're just like really choosing really unhealthy foods. But when you start to look at that and say, oh, wait a minute, here's one thing out of my day I can substitute something healthier for, make those changes if you need to. Maybe you do need to talk to a nutritionist or a dietitian. Um, and then on the physical health side, one of the things I highly recommend is, we're all at different levels with our fitness, but start with something that you like and enjoy doing. If you're at the point where like, I'm not really doing anything, I know I need to exercise. Well, what do you like to do? So some of you like to walk, some of you like to swim, some of you like to run, some of you are like, please God, I never want to run, like whatever, like don't do what you hate, because then you're not going to do it. I do not like riding bikes. Like that is definitely not my thing. So I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna go biking today. Like that's just not something I enjoy. So I like running. I like being at my gym. I like being around people. That's something for me that's helpful. And the physical side, being around people, because it motivates me to be like, okay, let me get to this particular class. But you might not be like that. You might be like, I don't want to be around people. I need to be by myself when I exercise. Maybe that's motivating to you, right? So you really start to need to ask yourself, what is it that I enjoy? What is it that you're able to do? Because we all have different ability levels. And what are your goals? Physically, nutrition wise, fitness wise, what are some of your goals? So those are some of the ways to get started. And sometimes you can do this all by yourself. Sometimes you need a team. So, but nonetheless, it's really important when we're thinking holistically. How do we help ourselves to grow and be healthier? One of the steps.
That reminds me of a commercial that I guess used to play a long time ago. You are what you
Hmm.
eat,
Uh-huh.
and that's a fact.
Yes, for sure. It is. It is for sure. It is for sure. And I know, and I will admit, sometimes it just depends on your schedule. I know sometimes it's hard, depending on my weeks. Some weeks are challenging because I'm a vegetarian most days. Some days I eat seafood, but if I'm traveling and I'm just depending on how busy and hectic the day is, sometimes it is hard to eat as healthy as I want to eat because it's like, I don't know, just random places or places I'm not familiar with. So I might not know all the healthy options. So give yourself grace, but again, try to really get back on how can I eat the healthiest for me. And again, that varies what you need. I mean, we all have different body types. We all have different physical health needs. Again, consult with your physician before you do one of those crazy diets that you see online, for sure. But again, the bigger thing is to have the mindset, I need to eat healthier. I need to feed myself healthy foods. It's going to help my mental health. There's plenty of studies on that. It's going to help my physical health, and care about those things because that's really important.
Yeah, so I made a big pot of collard greens yesterday.
Yeah,
Collard greens are supposed to be really good for you.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and so I've been that's what I've been eating, but I love collard greens. But I'm messing up. Kirsten, I think it is, Lynch has a question. Any advice for young professionals who feel peer pressure by seasoned professionals?
Ooh, that's a good one. So yes, um, so it can be hard. I'm assuming you mean in the workplace. It can be hard with the pressure in the workplace. One of the things that can be really beneficial for you, number one, of course, making yourself your number one priority, making sure you have your own self care to get through. Sometimes, unfortunately, we can't change the environment around us, but we can change our reaction to it. We can change how we're treating ourselves. We could change our level of self care. Sometimes, I know for myself personally, I've had to kind of increase the self care for certain situations or certain seasons, depending on what I'm doing. But also, it's really important too that you make sure that you have the support that you need. So, whether that's support in the form of mentorship, whether it's your family member, friend, a coworker, or whomever, someone that you can bounce ideas off of, someone you can express like, hey, this is challenging, there's a lot of pressure. That's really going to be important too, for you to make sure that you're having those connections, especially when you have friction, with whomever it may be. But again, navigating for you, setting your boundaries as much as you can within certain environments, and making sure you're focusing on your mental health is going to be really critically important for you.
Absolutely. And so we know that sleep is crucial. I know people that tell me they only sleep 4 hours a night. I know that can't be healthy.
It is not. It's not healthy. And let me just admit, I will be very transparent and say there was a time, not now at all, but way back when, years ago, there was a time I personally, I was buying into this whole like hustle culture, hustle hard, hashtag team no sleep and all that nonsense. And I was choosing not to get a lot of sleep. So I was at, I don't even know. I had a Fitbit back then. I remember it like kept tracking. It was like 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, right? Which is terrible for your health. You need sleep, people. Now, though, I strive for seven as much. Most nights, it's 7 hours. Um, I mean, sometimes it might be six or whatnot, but most times it's like, okay, that's because that's my golden amount of time to get 7 hours. But for you, you might need 8 or 9 hours, right? Or you might function off six, but definitely, like you said, like 4 hours, 3 hours, those types of hours consistently is really, really not good, for your brain health. I mean, God, I can go on and on about studies, but I mean, I've met people who have, because of their sleep deprivation, it led, I mean, chronic severe sleep deprivation, it led to hallucinations, it led to high level of anxiety, it led to panic attacks, it led to difficulties with memory. Like I mean, it just, we have to have sleep, we have to recharge ourselves again physically, and your brain needs to take a break, especially if you're under a lot of stress. We process so much information. So we have to give our brains a break. And sleep is one of the ways to do that. So to your point, make sure make sure that you start to take the steps to get the quality sleep you need. If you are a person, because I feel like I've met thousands of people, or patients who really struggle with getting to sleep or staying asleep, then again, talk to your physician, and they can go from there and set up some strategies for you to make sure you're getting the quality sleep that you need.
Mm-hmm. Sean Foster, Greensboro, welcome. Um, so boundaries are essential for maintaining balance. How can professionals establish and maintain healthy boundaries in their work and personal lives?
That's so good. I'm glad you brought that up too. Boundary settings is everything. I'm really big when I teach my burnout prevention uh, programs to different groups about setting the boundaries you need. It looks different depending on who you are. So the other day, anyways, I was on a listserv, and there was an email from someone, and to the group on the listserv, and the in the signature line of her email, she put in there, she was like, "I do not answer emails after," I think it was like something like 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time during the weekdays. On weekends, I answer no emails at all. Like, it was very crystal clear what her boundaries were, right? So, and I'm not saying to do that, but I am saying, like, where are your boundaries at? For me, I read emails late. I read emails on the weekend. That's not a boundary for me that I need to set. But I do have certain boundaries that I set, right? Like, there's certain amount of times I'm like, okay, this is family time, or this is work time, or this is me time, or whatever it is. Definitely setting up and creating good spaces and for different areas of your life. And again, setting those boundaries, sometimes it has to do with different relationships in your life. Assessing, is this something that's toxic? Do I need to set some boundaries here? Whether it's work related, do I need to set some boundaries with coworkers, or the job demands, or whatever it is? Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, like setting those boundaries for you, where you're doing your best to protect your mental health. That is going to be critical. Um, so a question that I get often when it comes to boundaries, especially when it comes to people, is, what if people don't respect the boundaries I set up? Which can happen. Well, first, have a conversation with them about that. But at the end of the day, you have to protect your mental health. So sometimes, unfortunately, people might not like the fact that you turn your phone on do not disturb after a certain time, or you don't answer an email, or whatever it is. But you have to do what's best for you.
And I do.
Yes, that's good. I love to hear it.
Well, I
I
do.
love to hear
I
it.
turn up off my phone, and
See?
if my body is saying, well, see, because I'm home. If my body's saying you need a nap,
Yeah.
I'm turning off my phone and I'm taking a nap.
Good for you.
And well, yeah, it's easy to do when you don't have to report to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't do that during your work day if we're not trying to,
Not trying to
if you
get you
can't do that.
fired or
Yeah,
anything.
we're not trying to get away fired. No.
Hello, Jeff from North Carolina. I'll be in North Carolina in June. Work life balance. It's often talked about, but can be challenging to achieve. How can professionals find harmony between their personal and professional lives? That's a good one.
Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. So there's something called work-life integration. And essentially well, it's not that new of a term, but newer term, because a lot of what we do professionally affects us personally, and vice versa. And hey, for those who are still joining here, um, So one of the issues with work-life balance is that everyone, let me tell you what the answer to that, and then I was thinking of something that came up this week. But everyone, when they think of balance, we all want to say what balance should be. But the problem with that is that you have what you believe is balance for you, your work-life balance is different for me and the next person and the next person. So for you, you know what it is for you, your schedule and your personal life and your professional life, you know what it is for you watching this of what makes you feel calm, what makes you have the most feel the most joyous, what makes you feel like you're protecting your mental health, what makes you feel like you're putting yourself and making yourself your number one priority. Only you can assess what that is, right? And so the thing I was thinking of actually when you brought up that comment, Dr. King, was that I don't know if you saw it went viral. There was a lady this in the past week who she had a baby, and as soon as she had the baby, she was supposed to defend her dissertation. Which okay, kids come when they want to come, right? So, so she ended up having her baby on the same day she was supposed to defend her dissertation. So what she did is she defended her dissertation. That I guess she blocked out the background, the hospital background, and then at the end of her dissertation, when she passed, she took down the backdrop, and then they saw like they're like, wait a minute, why are you in the hospital? She's like, oh, by the way, I just had my baby like
I
7 hours
see
ago.
that.
You didn't see that one? Yeah, it went
Yeah.
viral. But what happened was in the comments, because I don't know about you, but I'm always in the comments on social media, seeing what people are saying, which is a very fascinating place. But nonetheless, in the comments, people were very upset with this lady. They're like, why did you defend your dissertation? You just had a baby. You weren't supposed to do that. You're supposed to be getting rest. You're supposed to be, this and that. And it's like, well, but we're telling her what her work life balance should be. And this happens all the time. So we tell people you're supposed to do it this way. But what if for her, and I don't know her at all, I just saw this viral post, but what if for her, she's like, you know what, let me do this now, because when I get home with this newborn and I have absolutely no time to defend my dissertation, or maybe it would have been delayed for months and months, like we don't think about things like that. Maybe that was the best decision for her. The baby's asleep anyway. The baby was just born. The baby, trust me, that baby is asleep. Like, and she took, I don't know, an hour of her time or whatnot. She said she felt great. Like physically, she was like, I'm good. I mean, good for her, 7 hours
That's
after having
right.
the kid. Right. But the point is, but this is what we do to each other all the time when it comes to work life balance. We point fingers and we tell people what that should look like for them. But I want each and every one of you watching this to think to really take a step back for yourself and ask yourself, what could that potentially look like for me? Like what works for you? Because you know that best. And then start to take those steps to make that happen.
So, I know the book, you can pre-order it now, right? Or
Yes.
so
Yes, it is on pre-order.
can you tell them how they can get it?
Yes. So mindset training, conquer your mind, and the rest will follow. It's available for pre-order on mindsettrainingbook.com. And I would put it in the chat, but I don't know if it's going to let me. So, but it's mindsettrainingbook.com.
Bernice, hello. And yeah, it's gonna be good. I can't wait to get my copy. And
Yes.
I'm probably gonna buy some copies from some other people that I know that could use it. Um, and also you can find Dr. Hammond in our directory,
Yes.
blackwomanempowermentdirectory.com, and you'll be able to get it from there as well. So I know
Yes.
she's going to be putting up there, and you can follow her and connect with her on there if you have questions. I know that I talked to a lady today that said she called you. Uh,
Yes.
I know, right? See,
Yes. That's so great.
that directory is really a good
It,
thing.
it's amazing. And we found out we're going to end up being at the same conference coming up. So yeah, it's so cool. I love it. I love it.
So go to the directory. It's going across the screen, blackwomenpowerdirectory.com, and join if you have a business or you just want to increase your social media. I'm so excited about your book. What else do you want to share before we sign off about it?
Yeah,
Are you going on tour or anything?
yes. And right now this is day one of starting a podcast tour as well. So I don't even know how many. It's probably, yeah, it's going to be a lot of podcasts that I'll be on. over the next couple of months for the book. So people can always go to my website, drnekeshiahammond.com. We'll put all the information on there for the different podcasts and things like that. But yeah, and also speaking as well over the next couple of months. So I'm super excited about the book, of course, and the directory. And yeah, the book is on the directory as well. So it's already,
It's already on there.
yeah, yeah, it's already
Oh,
on
I
there.
didn't even see, and I didn't know. You know, you have to tell me so I can start really pushing it,
It's
girl.
on the directory too. Yeah.
Yes, so we'll be pushing that out. Well, thank you, Dr. Hammond. It's always a pleasure, and she'll be here every Tuesday at 8
Yes.
o'clock. She's
Yes.
coming to answer your questions and give you some good advice. She's been with about 5 or 6 years. I can't believe the time went by so
I
fast
know. Yeah.
that you've
Yeah.
been doing mental health moment.
Yeah. It's been
Um,
flying by.
uh, yes. She says, Hermina says, nice seeing you, Dr. Hammond. Dr. Hammond is a
Ah,
lovely person inside and out. I know her personally. She's like a daughter to me, and
yes.
she has a heart of gold, and she's just amazing. So make sure you get the book and mindset training. It's what's the subtitle?
It's mindset training, conquer your mind, and the rest will follow.
I love it. It's a great title. Thank you, Dr. Hammond, and we'll have to do it again. We'll have to keep pushing it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank everybody for tuning in, and everyone have a blessed evening, and we will be back soon.